As we all have curiously discovered, the SCP Foundation is brimming with some of the most original, creative, innovative, and downright terrifying concepts making their way through the terrifying world of horror literature and fiction. Usually these come in the form of terrifying anomalous monsters, writhing masses of flesh, literal nightmares that herald the end of the world, creatures that cannot die, creatures that cannot see, creatures that cannot scream. It's some pretty spooky stuff to say the least, but aside from the anomalous entities, there are also some pretty otherwise unassuming objects, everyday household items like telephones and polaroid cameras that you really wouldn't want to accidentally pick up at a yard sale. Yeah, let's find out why. Hello horror fans and welcome back to the scariest channel on YouTube, Top 5 Scary Videos. As always, I'll be your horror host Jack Finch as we peer back through the dusty archives of the SCP Foundation and curiously take a look at the top 5 cursed SCP items you should never come in contact with without gloves. Roll the clip. For the curious amongst you, that clip was from the 2002 version of The Ring, and allegedly we'd all have 7 days to live after watching that, but don't worry, because we only saw 10 seconds. We're fine. Promise. Before we kick off the show, if you haven't already, make sure to take a look at the SCP Foundation because it's terrifyingly awesome, and we'll be leaving a list of links in the comment section down below so you can check them out yourselves. Kicking off at number 5, SCP-093. And I absolutely love this skip for its concept alone, because on the surface, SCP-093 seems like just your standard weird, anomalous object that does some pretty spooky stuff, but the more and more you delve into it, the bigger its world becomes. And I mean that in the literal sense, because there's an entire alternate reality attached to it. As the record states, SCP-093 is a red disc carved from stone adorned with strange engravings and unknown symbols that must be kept secure on a mirror-like surface at all times. Why? No one really knows, but if not, it will seek out the nearest mirror-like surface at all costs, sometimes building at phenomenal speeds until reaching its destination. But of course, this is the SCP Foundation, and SCP-093 actually serves as the key of using mirrors as a portal to a specific alternate dimension, a post-apocalyptic world populated with ravenous monsters known as the Unclean, whose population underwent a technological revolution sometime in the 1850s, and everything kind of went a little bit Warhammer. There's a lot to it, but SCP-093 is one of the most in-depth articles in the whole Foundation, and you can easily fill up a few hours researching it and its bizarre, skin-crawling addendums. It's great. Coming in at number 4, SCP-072. And if you still sleep with a nightlight, please make sure not to accidentally pick up SCP-072 at a second-hand furniture auction, because seriously, I don't say this lightly, if you have trouble sleeping, 072 is really creepy. As the record states, SCP-072 is essentially a bed infected by an unknown anomalous entity that emerges at the foot of said bed by spreading its long, sharp fingers across your feet while the subject is asleep. You know that fear you have when your foot comes out from underneath the covers? Yeah, SCP-072 is the thing that you're afraid of grabbing you. Although this thing doesn't just grab you, it kind of removes your entire foot with its sharp, nightmarish fingers, and you can't really do anything about it because it becomes the physical manifestation of sleep paralysis, rendering its victims unable to scream or call for help. Also, it gets worse because SCP-072 can spread to any bed within a 10-meter vicinity, so yeah, hope to high heaven that hand-me-down bed you got given by your old neighbour doesn't come with a brand new infestation of SCP-072. Swinging in at number 3, SCP-978. aka the Polaroid, and one of the most depressing objects in the entirety of the SCP Foundation. Seriously, on the surface, SCP-978 appears to be just an ordinary looking standard chrome and black Polaroid 1 instant camera, but of course it's far from ordinary because this is the SCP Foundation and it's the things that it produces that makes it anomalous. The Polaroid photographs. Whoever or whatever it takes a photo of, animals included, won't show the subject as appears in the real world, but will instead depict them somewhere else, doing something else, revealing what the subject most desires to do. If you point it at an otherwise happy person, it will show them enjoying life, partying with friends. If you point it at a suicidal person, it will show them dead and buried. But the thing is, the most interesting aspect of SCP-978 is that it's been tested on numerous other skips. The bleakest, being SCP-451, a man who cannot see, hear or otherwise detect any other living being, and whose existence has driven him to absolute madness while he thinks he's the only human left on the planet. When SCP-978 was used to take a photograph of this guy, it showed him smiling, surrounded by friends and family, part of the world once again. And now I'm really sad. Next up at number 2, SCP-035. And this one is a doozy to say the least. And make sure you check out the SCP article page for this one, because if you stare long enough, you'll be absolutely terrified. Don't worry, you'll understand, just take a look. SCP-035 appears to be a white porcelain comedy mask, although at times it will change to tragedy. You know, those iconic dramatic images dating all the way back to ancient Greek theatre that are pretty terrifying anyway, never mind being part of the SCP Foundation. When it changes, all existing visual records change with it, including photographs, video footage, even illustrations, automatically changing to reflect its new appearance. Doesn't sound too bad, right? Well, on top of that, a highly corrosive and degenerative liquid of unknown origin constantly seeps from the eye and mouth holes of the mask, and anything that comes into contact with the substance decays over a period of time. Oh, and also SCP-035 is sentient and an absolute mastermind at corrupting and controlling the human mind, often driving those in its nearby vicinity to madness and suicide at a staggering rate, compelling any humanoid figure around it to place the porcelain mask on their own face. For the most part, the Foundation has no idea whatsoever to do with SCP-035, and keeping it contained is proving to only make it angrier, resulting in more secretion of highly corrosive liquid and more madness. So maybe just let it do its thing. Wait a minute, I don't remember scripting that line. And finally, our number 1 spot, SCP-145, which is for all intents and purposes one of the most awesome and terrifying horror concepts going, and I'm not sure why no one has adapted it into a horror short film, because it's incredible. So aspiring horror writers, get in touch with the author of SCP-145 and let's get this ball rolling. SCP-145 essentially is a standard 2002 model cordless telephone handset of Alcatel brand on its standard issue charging base, although this phone, when it rings, is a very, very different conversation. When answered, a female voice speaks, showing high levels of stress varying from conversation to conversation, and in all instances expresses extreme panic, pleading with the listener for assistance as she describes instances of torture conducted on unknown victims. So far, recorded audio documentation of torture has included branding, electrocution, laceration, dismemberment, and some data expunge records too, which is never a good thing. Oh, one more important thing to note: unless the phone is answered under supervision, as in more than 2 people witnessing the call, the recipient will vanish into thin air, and the leading theory is that these victims are the ones tortured on the other line. The Foundation has gone to great lengths to try and save these victims, even going so far as to strapping a D-class personnel with C4 before they answer the call alone and vanish in the hope that they'd blow up the torture scene remotely. Didn't work, and the Foundation had just kind of given up, and they've stopped answering SCP-145's calls. New phone. Who dis? Well, there we have it, horror fans. Cheers for sticking around all the way to the end. Before we depart, let's take a look at some of your more creative comments from over the past few days. Candy Skull says, I'm sub to you guys and I really love what you all are doing. You're always giving me ideas on stuff to draw and write, and I always get excited when you all post new SCP videos. Keep up the good work and good luck. Well, cheers Candy Skull, we're glad we can be a source of inspiration to you. If you feel up to it, send us some of your creations. Lucy and I would love to check them out. Wabbit Stewed says, why aren't these writers working in horror cinema? This is the sort of creativity needed to rejuvenate a genre that has been suffering from too much cliche-induced necrosis for too long. And my thoughts exactly, Wabbit Stewed. There is so much originality and creativity sparking around in the SCP Foundation that it's become a subgenre in itself. And with subgenres, we get crossovers, so fingers crossed. Well, unfortunately folks, that's all we've got time for in today's video. Just sticking around all the way till the end. If you were a fan of this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button as well as that subscribe bell, and we'll be seeing you in the next one. As always, I've been your horror host Jack Finch. You've been watching Top 5 Scary Videos, and until next time, you take it easy.